She was the dream daughter for many, but for her parents, she was a nightmare. Samantha was born into a family full of love, with parents who always gave her the best, but from a young age, she seemed to be made to go against everything they believed in. Rebellious, defiant, and uninterested in any advice, nothing her parents did seemed to work. At school, she was a constant troublemaker. At church, she was never willing to listen. In volunteer work, she just didn't care. Every day, with Samantha, felt like a battle for her parents, and despite all the love in the world, they watched their daughter drift further and further away. But they still had hope. They believed it was just a phase. A tough one, sure, but one that would pass with time. But when she turned 18, something happened that shattered their hope forever. Samantha walked into the house, looked her parents in the eye, and said, "I'm pregnant." Her parents were stunned, not just because of the pregnancy, but because of the woman she had become. Their daughter, the one they loved and tried so hard to protect, just didn't care. She wasn't ready for the responsibility, and when the baby was born, Samantha did something that left her parents speechless. She walked out the door, leaving the child with her parents, without a second thought. She didn't care anymore. And what happened to that child, Emily, is even more shocking and will leave you speechless. Raised by her grandparents, Emily had everything a child could want: love, care, and devotion. But there was a deep void inside her. Something was missing. From a young age, she felt different. She saw other kids with their mothers, sharing laughs, hugs, and simple moments, and she couldn't help but wonder, why don't I have that? Why did my mom leave me? The answer never came. As time passed, the pain only grew. Emily began to realize that no matter how much her grandparents loved her, the void she felt could never be filled. She grew up without understanding why her mother left. Anger, sadness, and confusion consumed her heart. Until at the age of 18, something she never expected happened. A message from Samantha. The message was simple: "I need to see you. You deserve to know your story." Emily was torn. Her mother, the one who had abandoned her, was back. What could she possibly want after all this time? Could there ever be an explanation good enough? But Emily couldn't ignore it. She had to know. She needed answers. The meeting between mother and daughter was intense. Emily walked in, expecting to see a cold, unapologetic woman. But what she saw was completely different. Samantha was visibly broken, her eyes full of guilt and regret. She didn't look like the woman who had abandoned her daughter all those years ago. No. She looked like someone who had been crushed by the weight of her own choices. The pain in Samantha's eyes was impossible to miss. And that's when Samantha revealed the truth. The real story that Emily had never known. Samantha hadn't left her because she didn't love her. No. She had left her because her life had fallen apart. Drugs, bad choices, and a life spiraling out of control. When Emily was born, Samantha didn't have the strength to be a mother. She felt lost, and in that moment of desperation, she thought that by leaving Emily with her grandparents, she was giving her a better shot at life. But what Samantha didn't know was that, despite her good intentions, abandoning her daughter could never be justified. Emily grew up with a heart full of pain, carrying the weight of her mother's absence, an absence that, even with all the love from her grandparents, could never be fully healed. Now, Emily was faced with a choice. She had the opportunity to forgive her mother, to let go of the anger, the years of abandonment, and finally move forward. Or she could hold on to the resentment and let the past define her future. With tears in her eyes, Emily looked at her mother and asked, "Can I forgive you?" The question everyone had been waiting for, but what happened next? What Emily did next was the decision that would change her life forever. She chose to forgive, not because Samantha deserved it, but because Emily needed to let go of that burden. The forgiveness wasn't for Samantha, it was for her own peace of mind. Emily realized that by forgiving her mother, she was finally freeing herself from years of pain. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that anger and resentment could no longer be a part of her life. Do you know that forgiveness has the power to free our souls? Sometimes, the only way to find peace is to let go of what's holding us back. But I ask you, could you find the strength to forgive someone who abandoned you? Could you look someone who hurt you deeply in the eye and, with courage in your heart, forgive? This is the story of Emily and Samantha, and it teaches us something we all need to understand. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it gives us the chance to start over. Forgiveness is the key to emotional freedom, to healing our souls. Now, I want to know your thoughts. Would you be able to forgive someone who hurt you so deeply? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. You won't want to miss what's coming next.